Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, we're going to be talking about transit Pluto Sextile or Trine one's natal Venus. Now, this transit could manifest power, control, transformation, passion, and desire, and even probing. This is in harmony with love and your enjoyment. At this time, there might be more, and I'm going to elaborate and expand on it. It's not so much about having a lot of power and having reveling in it and truly enjoying that. But what it is, it's about having the balance of certain power and control in your life and in your enjoyment as well, and what in doing the things that you truly love and enjoy. If your natal Venus is in Aquarius, say those things you love and enjoy may include astrology, astronomy, computers, innovation, electronics, and aviation as some examples. This is a time to where it's good to have maybe auspicious to have more of a deeper connection with your relationships. You may not be so much into superficial flings at this time. This could be the time where it could be very positive if you're trying to escalate a relationship and you're trying to find more of a deeper connection, a more intimate connection with the person, which may lead to marriages. May actually be a very propitious transit for that, because you're talking about Venus, the planet connected with relationships. Pluto is in intimate relationships. It's deep. This is the time where it could be very positive for doing that. And it's also and it's really a time too, if you're trying to find out something, some info on a significant friendship, or it could be somebody you're in a romantic connection with. This could be an auspicious time to be doing so. If there's something that you for some reason you don't think is kosher, copacetic, or what have you, and you're trying to see if this person may be involved, in something corrupt, or if there's some criminal background, it's more of an opportunity to be able to get this information more so than usual, with little having little roadblocks or obstructions, what have you. This is a time as well where it's also a time where you can do the things you value. With a lot of with having that right amount of passion, desire. Some of you may wonder, well, how does this transit differ from the transit of Pluto making a conjunction to the natal Venus? Well, they're both comparable, and but the thing is, the transit with the conjunction, that's more intensifying and integrating. It can be very obsessive, because you're talking about Pluto, which is a planet connected with obsession and fixation, and Venus, of course, is about our relationships and money. And it's a time when things you enjoy. It could be a time where you can become so obsessed with something like that to the point of the exclusion of everything else, where this this transit is more about just having that right amount of passion, desire for Venus-related matters without you going necessarily overboard and becoming oblivious to other things in your life. So really, I would say that is the main difference. Conjunctions can have good and bad qualities in them. They're neutral, but the sextile trine is very positive aspects. So, anywho, another thing I want to talk about. Okay, anatomically speaking, Venus is connected with the throat, the neck, the thyroid, the lower back, the esophagus, and kidneys. So this is a time, say if for really having, if you have anything, wrong anatomically associated with Venus, if you've been procrastinating or hesitating on those matters, this could be the time where you're more likely than not to do something about it. Having really the passion and that desire to actually take care of those matters at this point in time. And it's also a time as well, if any of these issues are very serious and it might require some surgical procedure, it can be auspicious for that as well, because Pluto is associated with surgery, and it may be a positive time to have that surgery on one of those body parts that I described that are associated with the planet Venus, and also being able to go deep into those matters and to be able to go research and find out what exactly more information about those matters of what you can do to actually to help those issues without them necessarily exacerbating, being able to treat those matters at this time, because this is a positive transit for deep research in Venus related matters, and that can include body parts that are anatomically connected with Venus. Now, another thing too about this transit, it's also a time where transformation can be very positive, beneficial for your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself. If you have, say, the transit of the Pluto in the first house, it could be the physical body, and it may be a time where when making a transformation just in general at this time may do wonders for how you feel about yourself. Say if you have the transit Pluto in the fourth house, it might be doing could be some major change in your family or your home life. If there was something inhibiting or prohibiting you in your home or family life, or was causing some kind of despondency, this could be the time where making that major change could do wonders for how you feel about yourself. The transit Pluto is in the seventh house is another example. It could be obliterating a relationship you may have, whether it could be a significant friendship or it could simply be a significant other. This could be the time, a very positive time to do so in order for you to to feel better about yourself. Again, this because it can lead to greater self-worth, self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself at this time. And the thing about this too, if you have any it's also a time when you're talking about this transit. Venus is also about money. So if there's any major change that could be made in your monetary situation, how you're generating income, it could be positive for doing so at this point in time. And it's also a very good time for matters with shared resources and possessions at this time. It could be getting that support to have in matters with your own possessions, resources at this time of this transit. And it could also be a time for having that right amount of passion and desire. Could be for artistic endeavors. If you have the natal Venus in Pisces, for example, it could be abstract or some kind of fantasy or fictional or imaginative art. If the natal Venus is in Gemini, it might be animated or cartoon art as some examples. And also too, if you're trying to make some major change or to get yourself in a more peaceful situation, or something has to be ended in order for you to have peace and tranquility in your life, this could be an ideal time in order to do so. And it's also a good time to have power and control in matters connected with negotiations. If there's anything with lawsuits or legal matters at this point in time, if you're trying to find out some dirt on an open enemy, or I should say not opening, but somebody, a legal opponent, and it might help your case. It's like a criminal background. This could be the time where it could be very positive for that. And anyway, and just for Venus related things in general, it can be a time to have more control in those situations. So anyway, now another way this transit can manifest, it could be very positive for having that passion, which is Pluto, again for the things you enjoy, which is Venus. If the natal Venus is in Libra, as an example, those things you enjoy may include art, fashion, interior decoration. It could be, if you're involved in sports, it may be tennis or gymnastics. Those are sports connected with balance, as some examples. And it could also be a time where it's auspicious to get support, which is Pluto, for money-making endeavors, and money, of course, is associated with Venus. If the natal Venus is in Leo, as an example, those money-making endeavors can be associated with creativity. It could be product demonstration. It might be running, a party store. As some examples. Hold on a moment. Sorry about that. I'm back. But anyway. Now, another thing, another way this transit can be expressed, it can be where Pluto-related people, and when I say Pluto-related people, it can be people in Plutonian professions such as the occult, which includes astrology, or somebody in recycling, insurance, tax examination. It could be coroners, surgeons, investigators as some examples, or it could simply be someone you're in an intimate relationship with or shared resources situation with. Those people may be in more harmony and agreement with the things you value, which is Venus. Now, let's say if the natal Venus is in Virgo, as an example, it could be doing things associated with attention to detail, organization, punctuality, being prompt, being scrupulous and proper, as some examples. And it's also a time where it can be propitious for control, which is Pluto, in your at this time in your relationships, which is Venus. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Venus is in Scorpio, it could be someone that's a Scorpio sun, moon, or ascendant, or simply embodies those characteristics. It could also be a very positive time for the desire, which is Pluto. And again, reiterating what I said before, for artistic, which is Venus, interests and endeavors. Now, if the let's say if the natal Venus, is in Aries, it could be very pioneering art, or it could be one's, pictures of things associated with the military. Taurus could be very, peaceful, type of, drawings, things that are very serene, as some examples. And if the natal Venus is in Aquarius, it could be some kind of computer graphic art, or art that's very ingenious, again, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.